Today I want to talk about how you pace your rides. Now, if you've been following me for a while, you'll know that I'm all about helping people build their fitness and really build their fitness aiming towards a big goal. For me, it's been a multi-day event around France. For most of the people I work with, it's a single day sportif. And when you're doing these long target rides, these challenge rides as I call them, they're a bit special. They're more than you normally do when you're training, and you have to think about them in a different way. I've talked about pacing a lot in the past, and it's something I talk to with the riders I coach. But when you do these big days, they are really, really special days, and it's very, very easy to get them wrong. And the way to have a good day is to really concentrate on the way you ride a bike on that day, your pacing of that day. And the golden rule is not to go too hard at the start. It sounds easy, and really, what do I really mean by that? Well, I'm going to tell you a little story. I rode 3 or 4 weeks ago a 200-kilometer Audax event. Now, Audaxes they're not races. They've been going on for many years, and they're almost like a precursor to sportifs. Not as many people do them. You have a route planned, and they're a little bit sort of subversive. You get a little passport, and you have to tick off places en route. They're not signposted. You could just get a GPX route, and you just follow that. And 50 to 100 people do them, and you end up riding in small groups. Now, 200 kilometers in the Cotswolds, I live near Bristol, is actually quite a hard ride. And I know that I'm building my fitness to my big challenge in the summer. So I set out in a very conservative way. There was a group that went off a little bit faster than I wanted to do. And then I ended up in a group of about 10 people, and they were going a bit slower than I wanted to do. So I ended up on my own, and I got to the first stop, and it was 40 kilometers, and I bumped into a guy who lives locally, and we had a coffee together, and we sort of headed off and almost together. And he was just going too hard for me. He was riding, I call it battering. He was just sort of hitting it hard on the little rises, and actually he was going quite fast on the flat, and he was sort of, battering. He was just sort of leaning into it too much. And, this is 50, 60K into the ride, and I'm thinking, there is no way on earth I can ride this ride, or it will do me harm at that pace. Anyway, long story short, we kept bumping into each other at the various stops. And after our last stop, we came out of a town called Cirencester together, and there was a long rise, and it was about 5 minutes long or whatever. And he was just going so hard up there, and I just couldn't believe he was still battering. Anyway, I just let him go, and then over the top, I caught him up again, and I said, "How are you feeling?" And he said, "Oh, I'm really tired, really tired." And I could tell he'd started to go. And we had 50 kilometers to go into a headwind. And I said, "Okay, stay with me," and whatever. He'd gone, completely and utterly gone, and he could hardly sit on my wheel. And I wasn't even trying, and dropped him very easy. So I ended up doing the last 50 kilometers on my own into this headwind, and I've just got no idea how he got home, because he had really blown up. And the reason that had happened to him is because he had gone too hard at the start. And I was really pleased with my ride, because I'd actually controlled it. I'd not hurt my legs. I think one of the things you have to do on these rides at the start of them is actually consciously not hurt your legs. And it's a strange concept when you've been used to training hard and all that sort of stuff, but you use up so much of your energy, and these rides are so long. That day for me was about 8 hours. So it was a really long 8 hours of actual riding time. It was a really long day, and that's the trick. So you've just got to not batter early on. I think of these rides as split them into quarters. Like the first quarter of however long your ride is going to be, do not even hurt the legs in any way. So every little rise, you really back off, and you just sort of smoothly go with it. Get to half distance, you begin to start of feeling a little bit of the distance, but you're eating well, you're drinking your fluids and all that sort of stuff, and you've got your lunch at your mid-ride stop. Last 3 quarters, next quarter, so your third quarter, you can sort of, you're going to be feeling tired by then, and you can press on the pedals a little bit. You have to press on the pedals a little bit. And then in the last quarter, well, you've got really nothing to lose. But if you've fueled well and you've conserved well, that is when you're going to have good energy. And one other little story, I coached a guy a few years ago, and he wanted to do the Tap the Tour, and it was finished on Alpe d'Huez. And I'd ridden with him, and he was a batterer. He just smashed it up every little climb. And it took me about 6 months to get him to ride in a more conservative way, especially on his longer rides when he first started. And we gradually got there. And one of the things I'm most proud of with my coaching is I got an email from him and a phone call, and he said that was one of the best days of my life on a bike, because I had the energy and the strength to ride up Alpe d'Huez nicely. I wasn't battered, and because of what you taught me, Peter. And that was the only reason he did that, is because he was taking it easy at the start. So that's it. It's as simple as that. It's just, you cannot go hard at the beginning of your challenge ride. Final trick is that you've got to learn to do that in your training. So that's all I'll say is, on your longer rides, learn to ride in a conservative way at the beginning of them, and just feel how much stronger you are compared with your normal rides at the end of those long rides. And that will give you the confidence and the knowledge that the correct way to ride these long rides is to take it easy at the start. So best of luck, and I hope that helps.